episode 40. 40, a big episode this week. Big episode. Let me just fix my mic. Always good, we're good to go. Now, whoever is not seeing this live, which is going to be a lot of people, you guys should know that I usually take about 10-ish minutes to get going. Okay, so let's not judge too harshly the beginning of these episodes. Okay, let me just adjust my camera a bit. That's a bit better. Okay, that being said, we can get into it. This week I've decided to talk about role models because it's such a big thing to me. It is such a big thing. Role models. I might get a bit excited in this episode. I've got a list. But before I get to it, some people are under the impression that, when we talk about role models, some people overlook it. I don't get why. To me, it's always been natural. It's natural to look up to people, to look at someone and say, I wish I can be a bit more like this guy, hopefully. It's a natural thing to say. People that say, I don't have role models, I don't really look up to anyone, it's a bit weird. I've always found this a bit weird, because it is. Are you not striving to improve? Are you not trying to get any better at anything? Because if the answer to this is yes, if you are trying to get better, then it's the most natural thing to actually look up to someone, to have a role model. And I've always had, and so many, in fact. What do they do? Why have a role model? And probably not just one. Why? Because you look up to someone and it can serve as a reference point. Okay, I'm trying to become a bit more like this. Okay, if I maybe become like this, maybe I can get some of his results if I copy his behavior. That's one thing. You look up to people and you see, this guy stands for this. I want to be the same. Okay, he's a good guy. He does this. He stands for something. He represents something. So it doesn't need to be, okay, it doesn't need to be the person itself, but what that person represents or stands for. Okay, so there is just numerous reasons to have them. Okay, so now I can actually make a start with my list. I have a long list, and I've split them into groups, kind of. I've grouped them. If whoever's joining in just now, I'm going to be talking about role models and people that I have looked up to for a long time, and people that have helped me become what I am and who I am, and will continue helping me on my way up, on my way to the top. So if you think, I think I've got, that's just what I've thought of, like in the last 10 minutes. I have about 30 names. 30 is a big number, but I kind of, what is the requirement? I thought about it, and I decided, if I have really been not obsessed, but really interested in this certain person for over a month, because that's what happens normally. I see someone that I like, and I'm like, okay, I like this guy. I wanna know everything about him. I just wanna know everything about him. So let me just open my Red Bull. about 30 people. Every single one of them has had the impact on me, or to a certain extent I've tried to model my behavior after them, certain parts of my personality to kind of copy. Or maybe I've seen similarities and I've been like, okay, I want to be a bit more like this guy. I see myself in this guy. Yeah, maybe I can do a bit more of what he does because he seems like he's just like me. Okay, so we're gonna make a start. Where do I start from? Me looking at my list, I haven't named the groups, but you could say I have a group of more or less thinkers. I have a group of more or less just tough guys, just fighters that just want to fight, that just they want all the smoke. I have a group of people that represent discipline, consistency, hard work, but also intelligence. Okay, I have a group that I like their style, regardless of what of what you understand by style. I have a group of people that I like because they represent the story of coming back from something, making a return, making a comeback. That's one of the best stories there is. And I have people that represent more or less leadership. Although a lot of these guys, you could say they represent leadership. Okay, so we can make a start. What group should I start with? I will start with let's start with the people that represent discipline. Okay, discipline, that big word, discipline. So I have one of my, obviously, what's happening with my Wi-Fi? Can I just ask this question? Okay, my Wi-Fi is on. It's all good. So the first one, it's a very big one. I've looked up to this guy for years. Is LeBron James. LeBron James. If you don't know that LeBron James is a basketball player and he's the greatest basketball player of all time, you could say arguably, but he is. I don't know, maybe you live under a rock. But his dedication to his craft, you need to understand, he just finished his 22nd season in the NBA. This is 22 years, this guy. He's never made a mistake in his life. He's been in the public eye for more than 50% of his life. He has never had any, oh, this happened to this guy, something negative in terms of bad behavior or a scandal, anything like that, anything like controversial that he's done or bad, nothing. He's still with his wife. He met her in high school. He's always been with her. He's got a perfect family. He's got 3 kids. One of them is in the NBA already. He doesn't have any weaknesses. His game is just, he's worked on everything. He's a threat everywhere. He's just a perfect athlete. Just all around. Can do everything. I really looked up to him. I still do. LeBron to me is a standard of excellence. LeBron represents excellence and dedication. Imagine for 22 years, for the next 22 years, you're going to be playing a basketball game every 2 days, and you're going to be traveling across all of America basically every 2 days to play. The preparation, how fit you have to be, how disciplined you need to be to stay locked in mentally, physically, everything is just this next level. So that's LeBron James. Then I have boxer Dimitri Bivol. Bivol, now I've liked Bivol for, I first heard of Bivol when he beat up Canelo. I was like, Jesus Christ, who is this guy that beat Canelo? I'm like, what? Dimitri Bivol? Jesus. And then the more I learned about him, obviously now I'm one of his biggest fans. The more I learned about him, it's the same thing. When you look at him, you just have to see him. First of all, the way he boxes is some of the most beautiful boxing that you can see. That Soviet style, moving around, jabbing, moving. He just moves so. His footwork is so beautiful to watch. It's so satisfying. He's so smart. When he's in there, he seems like he's got no emotions. It's like a robot, you know. It's like there is a robot there. Just outstanding. And then he's only had one loss in his professional career. The way he took the loss says everything about him. It says everything. The guy is a machine. He's been boxing his whole life. He's so humble, and he's always looking to get better. Next, we have George St. Pierre, GSP. Again, GSP, he was my first favorite MMA fighter. I really looked up to him. I still do. His skill is undeniable. He's at worst top 3 of all time. But his approach to fighting and his discipline, again, to represent martial arts in a positive manner. Because if you think about before him, MMA fighters, people refer to them as cage fighters. So these cage fighters are almost like as if we're talking about animals. But then you get George St. Pierre, the first proper martial artist. You can just call him a martial artist. And he kind of changes everything. Also, his approach to fighting. If you're interested in MMA, you can hear John Danaher talk about the innovations that he's done. His mastery of shoot boxing, which is the getting takedowns from striking. Okay, setting up your takedowns with your striking, which is exceptional, and is something that George St. Pierre, he's the, what is the word? The pioneer. Okay, he's got some of the best ever. And just overall, never a public mistake, he's never gonna mess up anything. He's always training, he's in the gym, he's training, he's trying to get better. He's not there to talk trash or anything. Training, mastering my craft, discipline and dedication. Next, I have, we're gonna be all over the place today, but it is what it is. I'm gonna put timestamps everywhere so people can just, what should I though? I don't know, I'll think about it. Next is my all-time favorite football player, Frank Lampard. Lampard is the reason why I became a Chelsea fan. Okay, I used to, because my uncle used to buy and send me England jerseys. So I was like, when I was really young, I was like, I support England. I didn't know what a club is, and what a national team is, and all that stuff. I didn't know. So I was like, I support England. And then I watched one of England's games, and Lampard scored just a beautiful goal against Germany. And I was like, oh, who's this guy? That's my favorite player. My dad told me this is Lampard. And I was like, oh, that's my favorite player now. What team does he play for? And he goes, Chelsea. And I'm like, well, I support Chelsea now. So that's my mini story with me and Lampard. And then as time progressed, obviously, that was just, you know, it wasn't a conscious choice or a pick. This player could have ended up being just a one goal wonder, but he ended up being Lampard, one of the best midfielders ever. And what he represents, actually, his consistency, how hard he works. Okay, whether people say he's the most skilled or not, no one can say that Lampard doesn't work hard. Whereas when you look at players nowadays, I can say about a lot of them that they don't work hard. Well, Lampard was never this. He always worked hard. He led by example. When there was a big moment, and when someone needed to say, "Hey, let's go, let's win that game," he was always there. He was always there. He was just so consistent. I had such a big confidence in him, and he never let me down. I can remember only one time he missed a penalty against Everton. That's all the bad things that I remember from him. And I've watched him for 10 years. It was just that was my favorite player. Even to a large extent because of him, because he was right-footed and I was left-footed. I was forcing myself to play with my right foot just because I wanted to be like Lampard when I was young. And I ended up developing a very dangerous right foot as well. That's it. Next, we're shifting again. We're shifting gears. Maybe I should have grouped them differently, but it is what it is. I'm going by topic rather than by by occupation. Next one is Captain America. Okay, we're jumping into superheroes. Do I care? No. Is it embarrassing? No. Why would it be? Listen, whoever, if you don't know this, now you know. I love Marvel. Since I was, I don't know how young, since before I can remember. I love superheroes. I used to draw superheroes all the time. Superheroes, I'm the biggest Marvel fan there is. That's something that doesn't really fit into my personality, but it is what it is. From a very young age, superheroes. Oh my, superheroes. So, Captain America, the he's always gonna do the right thing. He's always gonna sacrifice himself. He's always gonna say the right thing. He's just a good guy all around. He's always there to do the right thing. And I don't know what it is. I just like people like that. I kind of like bad guys, but just someone that represents good and that's always been good and will always be good. I don't know. I just like a classic hero. I've kind of been a bit like that. I see myself a little bit in this. I've never really, how he's got off the, you know, he's taken a bit of he's going down a bad, what is it, path or whatever. Never happened to me. I'm always being straight. I've always done the right things, never done anything stupid or silly. Yeah, Captain America. Captain America. I don't want to talk too much about that. No need. It's everyone knows. If you don't know, you're missing out so much. Next is, and the last one from this group is Superman, Mr. Clark Kent. Morally, this is probably the equivalent of Captain America, but in DC. The Superman, what Superman represents. What Superman represents. He's like the perfect person, the perfect, obviously he's not human, he's an alien, but he represents an ideal. He's a symbol of hope, something that people, humans can strive towards. Also, like Man of Steel is probably one of my favorite movies. Maybe cracks the top 10, but it's just I like an origin story. But also like how he's represented there. He's always looking to help. He can't really let people suffer or get hurt without interfering. He always wants to help, and he never wants to hurt anyone. He just wants to be good. It's so simple, to be fair. He's not trying to impress anyone. He just wants to be good and to help. He doesn't want to be the center of attention or anything. He's just there. He just wants thing to be. He wants order to be maintained. He wants people to be good. He wants to look at people and see the good side. That's just like Captain America, essentially. Anyway, moving on. We're gonna go to the next maybe to the next class. That is, let's go to these I don't know, this is somewhat class of misfits, to be fair. Let's say leadership. Okay, so I have Maximus Decimus Meridius, the gladiator. If you haven't seen the movie Gladiator, you have to watch Gladiator. You cannot continue living your life without watching Gladiator. It doesn't work. It's just not, you can't do that. Okay? Maximus Decimus Meridius, commander of the armies of the north, and whatever else, what the speech was. But again, the gladiator, he gets, I don't want to spoil the movie though, if you haven't seen the movie. But it is what it is. Listen, he's betrayed. He's betrayed. He's actually about to become emperor. And then he gets betrayed. And he gets thrown, he becomes a slave, a gladiator. And he's forced to fight. And the only thing that keeps him going is a sense of justice. He's fighting for justice. Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say, because I don't want to spoil it. Maybe I shouldn't have added him. Next, Leonidas, King Leonidas. Leonidas. Where the hell did I come up with? How did I come up with this, Leonidas? That's the weirdest pronunciation of all time. King Leonidas. Or in Bulgarian is Leonid. But King Leonidas, the king of the Spartans. I've talked about him before. All I'm gonna say is he leads his army when to certain death. He leads the 300 Spartans. In total, it's like, let's say, 1,000 people max, against an army of Persians that is between 50,000 and 500,000. It's not certain, but at best, it's like 30 to 1 at best. Okay, he leads them to a certain death. He knows they're not they're not going back home. Okay, he knows, and even still, he goes with them. This is the king of Sparta, the king. He knows what his life is about. He knows that he has to go so he can set the example. Because if the king doesn't set the example, who will? This is a type of leadership that this is leading by example, regardless of the consequences. I've seen this movie. It's close to 50 times now. I don't need to. I've, I've, I've talked about this before so many times. Self-explanatory. Next is Miyamoto Musashi, and it's not specifically Miyamoto Musashi. If you don't know who Miyamoto Musashi is the most lethal samurai in history. He's got over 60 recorded kills in a duel. Okay, so 60 times he's gone out in a 1v1. He's come out victorious. Yeah, what are we talking about here? We talk about a samurai, a master of the art of the sword, of the art of the katana, that is unmatched in history. Okay, Miyamoto Musashi. He's got a book. It's called the Book of Five Rings. I have read it. It was one of the first books that I read. But essentially, it was speaking about the way and about mastery and about if you understand how to do one thing, then you can understand how to do, then you understand how to do everything else. And just his dedication to his craft is, you have to read this book. You have to read this book. It's it's somewhat of a philosophical book, but it's very basic, you know. It's nothing over the top, nothing that challenging. It's a good entry level philosophy book. So if you're interested in something like this, read it. I just put him to represent the samurai as a whole. How much I've been impacted by the samurai is immeasurable. It's changed my life more than almost anything else. The samurai. And how has it changed? It's shown me the importance of morals. Not just morals. Moral sounds like, oh yeah, just be a good guy. That's a bit too vague and basic. No. The importance of principles and a person's dedication to these principles, whatever they are, and how important it is to find these principles that mean something to you or whatever the case may be, and to dedicate yourself to the principles. Not to, I'm dedicated to football or whatever. People say dedication. No, it's the dedication to a set of principles. This is what is gonna lead you furthest. Yeah, the dedication to a set of principles. And next, I don't know. I have Teddy Atlas here. Teddy Atlas is one of the greatest boxing coaches of all time. Teddy Atlas was coached by Mike Tyson's first coach, Cus, but he was there before Mike Tyson. Then Teddy Atlas and Mike Tyson had a disagreement, okay, when Mike Tyson was like 14. And Teddy Atlas trained Mike Tyson for a bit, just a little bit. But then they had that big fight, and then obviously they went their separate ways. But Teddy Atlas is an all-time great coach. He's coached Shannon Briggs. If you don't know Shannon Briggs, he's coached Michael Moore. He's coached, who else? I'm not sure. I can't think about anyone else from the top of my head. But it's just his loyalty, okay? His loyalty. He's a very principled person. Then his loyalty and his, you could say he's very emotionally intelligent as a coach. If you listen to him talk, most of the times he talks about things that have everything to do with your character and about the mental side of the sport, and almost nothing to do with the technical. So yeah, listen to his book. Okay, read his book. It's a great book. It's just crazy story. All right, I'm done with the second category. We have only 3 left. 32 minutes in. I've gone over 10. I have 20 more. Jesus, we have a solid hour ahead of us. That's not going to be a short episode. Luckily, I have second Red Bull. Next up is the story of return, the comeback. Okay, and over there we've got Batman. Now, why do I have Batman there? When I say Batman, does it not sound ridiculous? Maybe it does. But we're talking about role models, something that you look up to, something that you aspire to. Batman is that symbol. My favorite Batman movie is The Dark Knight Rises. Okay, it's not the one with the Joker, it's The Dark Knight Rises, where Bane broke him. Bane broke his back, and he threw him in that prison in the middle of the desert, in the hole, pretty much, in that pit. And he had to rebuild himself while watching how his city, Gotham, was taken over by criminals, basically, for months. Then he had to come back. Just the Dark Knight Rises. It's one of the most beautiful stories. The story, the comeback. A broken man rebuilds himself and comes back. That's what Batman represents to me, personally. He's always ready to. He's a broken man. He's got everything, but he's a broken man. And he never hesitates when it's time to sacrifice himself. There is no hesitation ever in him. That's what makes him. Yeah, that's Batman. He's not willing to quit or to stop in front of. He's relentless. And regardless of what happens, he's gonna keep going. He just doesn't quit. But the story of the comeback is, yeah. Next, we have the Count of Monte Cristo. Look at this. That's him. That's the book. The Count of Monte Cristo, Edmond Dantes. We've talked about this book before. But the story of betrayal, he's thrown in prison. He spends 13 years on an island in prison. In these 13 years, he goes through all 5 stages of grief. He struggles to accept the facts. He pities himself. So denial, anger, whatever else, regret, blah, blah, blah. He eventually accepts it, and then he decides, listen, that cannot be the end of me. I have to make something out of myself. I have to do something. So he starts studying. Okay, he finds an old guy, a philosopher. The philosopher teaches him how to fight, how to think. Okay, teaches him many skills. Then eventually he manages to escape this prison. Finds a treasure, becomes very rich, and then he goes on to look for his revenge. Okay, but the story, the comeback, and also I've put Count Monte Cristo because he's so stylish as well. When he comes out, he's so stylish. You have to be you have to look cool. He's a very stylish. If you read the book, watch a movie, whatever, very stylish, very well mannered. Okay, he's a gentleman. He comes out very polished. I like that. Okay, I like people like that. I should have had my hat and maybe a different shirt. Because when you use the word gentleman, you have to. You see, look at that. I don't look like a gentleman like this. I just look like some random guy in his bedroom. Okay, but once I put the hat on, and maybe I put a shirt or whatever, it's different. It changes. So we have the Count of Monte Cristo. Next, John Wick. Again, you have to be stylish. And John Wick is a bit of a revenge story, yeah. But it's also a story of he gets beat up, but they cannot stop him. You can't stop John Wick. Okay? You can't stop John Wick. He just keeps coming. Cut off his finger, break his body, whatever. He finds a way to fight. But all these people, they do it because they can find their why. Why am I doing this? If you have a strong why, you can do anything. Next, we're gonna get to the next category, which is, I already said stylish. We're gonna go to these guys that are more stylish, and we're gonna start with it's only 3 of them. Okay, for obviously I didn't think too long about this. First is Chris Eubank Jr., as I like to call him, Christopher Livingston Eubank Jr. How cool is he? He's very measured. His approach is very calm, reflective, stoic. He's always got the Louis Vuitton jacket. Rubs some people the wrong way, but he's very honest, and he has fun, and he says what he thinks. And yeah, he's just his calmness is so I don't want to say attractive because it sounds gay. His calmness is so pleasant to observe. It is inspiring. Okay, his calmness is inspiring. Does he have the vocabulary of his dad? Not exactly. Okay, he's not quite up there, but he can speak very well for a boxer, which is refreshing. The way he carries himself with a certain level of class as well, which is again refreshing. Not a lot of people try to act too tough. They don't try and act gentlemanly, which is important and is cool and refreshing to see. And obviously his boxing ability is also is up there. He's world class. Is he has he been a world champion? No, but he's up there. He's elite. He's an elite boxer, and I also like his movement. I like that lead hand is down here, swinging a bit. It's not this. There is a bit of you have to have a little bit of flow. I like people that have nice flow. He's got that nice flow. I like his flow. Is he a bit wild? Yes, he is a bit wild, but he's got that flow. Next is Roger Federer. He's my favorite tennis player. He has inspired me so much. It's so pleasant. It's such a joy watching Federer play and just move around that tennis court. This is one of the most enjoyable things that you can do as a human is to watch Federer play. It's not that many of them. Watching Federer play tennis, Messi play football, listening to I don't know, maybe to one of those uh, masterpieces like Beethoven or whoever, Mozart. That's the same when you watch Federer. He's gliding. The smoothness of his movements. It's just so that he makes it look effortless. And something that people don't really know, he has consciously worked throughout his career, conscious effort to make everything seem effortless. This is a conscious decision and effort, okay, to look this smooth. It didn't just come out naturally. It looks natural, but it was worked. He really put in a lot of work to achieve this. Okay, so that's something that's interesting. And then I just realized the importance of when you can, whether he's the greatest tennis player or not, this is debatable, obviously. If you ask me, I'll say he is. Am I a tennis expert? No. Is he the most accomplished? No. Okay, so there is clearly a debate. Would I pay to watch Federer? Yes. Would I pay to watch anyone else? Not exactly, I would, but if I could pick just one, I'm picking Federer. Just watching him move. And it's the importance of just understanding when you watch something, whether it's sports or whatever. Excellence, not just excellence, you have to be pleasant to watch. Because at the end of the day, this is entertainment. Sports can inspire you, and they should. You should be good on the eye. When me as a viewer, I want to watch and enjoy. Okay, so players that can give you this, whether it's in tennis or whatever sport, these are the special ones. Okay, whether they Whether Nadal has got one more cup or Djokovic or whatever than Federer or not, doesn't really matter to me, okay? Because they don't have Federer's fluidity. They don't have his. They're not as stylish as him, so they're never gonna capture me as much as he can, and as much as he's captured everyone else. He's just so beautiful to watch. He makes it look effortless. He makes you feel like tennis is easy. When someone does that, it's just a special feeling. It's just special. So Federer. Next, Conor McGregor. Almost the same thing. It's not just that. His fighting style. I've watched all his fights multiple times. First, I obviously he became so famous when he knocked out Aldo in 2015. And then he was talking so much. He became a massive star so quickly. The way he was speaking about the law of attraction and all that stuff, visualizing things. Back in 2016, this was a big thing. Nowadays, it's not as big. Back then, it was like, that was a hot topic. The Secret, that book, The Secret, he's even talked about it after. I read that book in 2010. Okay, and then all of a sudden I see some guy, McGregor, he says everything that I've read in The Secret. Okay, now, why and how I've read The Secret at 12 years old, that's just, I don't know, that's an insane thing to do. And immediately, I was like, oh, this guy says things that I know, and I've never really seen anyone else say these things. So immediately I was drawn, I was drawn in. Okay, the guy is as charismatic as anyone else, as anyone ever. So yeah, McGregor. But then now all that talk is kind of forgotten. Is he still funny? Yeah. But all that's left is his, at least to me, in my eyes, is the fighting. Is his skill, and his skill is just, again, as I said, some people are just so pleasant on the eye, just pleasant to watch the way they move. He's one of them. Just the way he moves, the way he puts punches together, the way his precision, his accuracy, is just so pleasant to watch. And he was like, at one point, he's like, he just makes it look so easy. He looks different to all the other guys. The other guys look like brawlers, and then you get McGregor. He's like, he's very slick striker. He's just, it's special. It's a shame that he made too much money. He's got everything. He doesn't need to come back. And he fell victim to his own to the characteristics that made him successful, also made him fall into that hole that he's been in for the past couple of years. All right, next. We only have two more categories, that is. I'm going to try and speed it up. Okay. Next. This is a big one. This is like more of people that are like ready to go at all times. They want the smoke. Okay. They're ready to go. They want to fight. David Goggins, one of the most influential people in my life. I've talked about David Goggins about 1,000,000 times. How many times have I read his books? Too many. Both, I think, Can Hurt Me, I've read 5 times. Never Finished, I've read 4 times. Have I listened to every single podcast of him? Ever? Yes. Have I watched probably 1,000 TikToks of him? Yes. Have I been listening to him consistently and over again for the past 8 years? Yes. 8 years, imagine. He's like my second voice. David Goggins. This is what this is who Andrew Tate thinks he is. Yeah, that's all I can say. Just a machine, an unbreakable character, pretty much. Doesn't matter, I need to do more. Doesn't matter, I need to do more. Just a relentless drive. Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan. Same thing. Just a relentless, competitive drive to win. I want to win. I want to win more than anyone else. I will win. And just this goes together with the work ethic. And he had this. Was he a bit toxic as a teammate? Yeah. But he wanted to win. The competitiveness. The competitiveness. I'm here to win. I have to do it. A winner. Just if I'm playing, I'm winning. That mindset. Michael Jordan. And he's Michael Jordan. You don't become an icon by accident. Next is Roy Keane. Roy Keane is, he always wants to smoke. He's always very critical of people. I just like Roy Keane. He's funny. He's funny in a tough way, in a tough guy. He's got the tough guy persona. I just like it. Is he as tough as all these other guys? No, of course not. But I just like how he behaves. I yeah, and I enjoy it. And he's got the sense of humor. He's very I don't know how can people not like Roy Keane? To I'd love to be around someone like him. Next, Dan Hooker. If you don't know Dan Hooker is an MMA fighter. He's one of my favorite fighters. While I was getting ready for my fight, I was really watching a lot of Dan Hooker. Just his mentality. He's not easy the best fighter. No, not exactly. Is he always ready to fight? Yes. Does he have quit in him? No, doesn't quit. He just goes until he cannot. And he's obviously he's from Australia. They're a bit more relaxed, laid back. He's like that. Like, yeah, hey friend, yeah, we're gonna go, baby. Yeah, whoa. Uh, is he like me, cold, precision, stuff like that? Thinking, no, he's the opposite of me. But that's why I was watching him, because I'm like, I want to be a bit more like this. I have to be a bit more like this. I need to get out of my own head, just go and do, just fight. Dan Hooker, yeah. You see me on one of the next episodes with a t-shirt. You can't teach ticker, baby. You can't teach ticker. Next is the Wolverine. It's funny how I mix up, just add some superheroes here and there. Wolverine. Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. And not just Hugh Jackman. I have, all this. This is all comic books. Wolverine is one of my favorite superheroes. Wolverine, when he died in the movie, that broke my heart properly. I was devastated. It's just so, he's a bit like Roy Keane. He's very, you know, what's the word? What is the word? I can't think of the word. This is a bit annoying. He's jumpy. He wants to be left alone. um, just he would be considered a toxic masculinity. He's like the perfect example of a toxic masculinity by nowadays standard, and that's why I like grumpy. Grumpy is the word. He's grumpy. I like people that are grumpy. I don't know why. It's just so, I like that stereotype. I like, not a stereotype, archetype. Next is Friedrich Nietzsche, the philosopher, the German philosopher. Thus spoke Zarathustra. He speaks about beyond good and evil, the will to power. He speaks about, his philosophy is about overcoming, about becoming better, about the only thing there is for a person is to overcome oneself, to become something more than what you are already, to keep evolving. In short, in non-philosophical language, to put it that way. Moving on, if you want to know about Nietzsche, just read his books. They're just fascinating to read. And he doesn't mince his words. He just says it as it is. That's why I like. That's why he's there. That's why he's just after Wolverine. Okay, what's where the similarities between Nietzsche and Wolverine? Well, read these books and you'll see. And now we move on to the last group. We're 1 hour in almost. This is the group that is the closest to me. This is like the mastermind, the architect, you would say. And we have, I'll start at the bottom, Aristotle. Aristotle, one of the greatest minds in human history. Aristotle. It's honestly almost impossible to explain to you how intelligent and influential Aristotle was. Go on Wikipedia and just try and read a little bit, okay? And when you read books, historical books, let's say about the history of philosophy or the history of science or whatever, when you see Aristotle's contribution, you're going to be, Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. So Aristotle was a physicist, a mathematician, a philosopher, um, a astronomer, you could say. What was the other thingy? A chemist. Just everything. 5 separate disciplines. Aristotle was the first to kind of start separating them from one another, using science to test his hypothesis. Okay, I think this is this way. Let's test. Okay, test, write down my results. Then I test again. I test for this, I test for that. He basically, I don't wanna go over the top, but he basically created science pretty much, or made it. He was one of the founding fathers of science. Imagine, this is Aristotle, a philosopher. Plato is next. Plato is Aristotle's teacher. Also, I forgot to mention, Aristotle was the teacher and advisor, or whatever you want to call it, like a mentor for Alexander the Great. If this is not influential, tell me what is. And how smart you have to be to get Alexander the Great to come and ask you to be his teacher. Alexander the Great. Plato was Aristotle's teacher, one of the greatest philosophers of all time. I already said so much about Aristotle. You just need to read Plato, the Republic. Okay, and Plato has so many other works. From Plato, we learn about Socrates, who was Plato's teacher, and it's just these guys. Next, Doctor Strange. Back to Marvel. I love Marvel. I already said Doctor Strange. The smart, the arrogant genius, the arrogant rich genius that is actually the best at what he does. And that's this archetype. That's it's like it scratches a niche in me when I see this type of character. I'm like, immediately I root for this character. I love this character. Maybe I see a bit or a lot of myself in this. Oh yeah, I can do this. I'm the best. Yeah. And then he kind of gets humbled, and he's shown, this very material person, this practical person is shown away into the world of magic, and he struggles to accept it and to believe it, and he's a bit reluctant to actually to accept that he doesn't know everything, and that maybe there are things that he doesn't understand yet. For a smart person, it's actually difficult to do that. So yeah, I just love Doctor Strange. And next, played by the same actor. Who could it be? It's Sherlock Holmes. I love Sherlock. I love Sherlock Holmes, one of my favorite characters ever. It's just the observational skills. I must have spent after I watched Sherlock, I must have spent about at least the next year, every time let's say I'm in the tube or whatever, I'm trying to work out, based on people's appearances, I'm trying to work out what do they do for a living, and what their personality is, by using deduction and reasoning, deduction, deduction, deduction. Just like Sherlock, That's why, guys, if you don't know about Sherlock, you need to watch the series at the very least. The series with Benedict Cumberbatch. Just watch them. You just develop a new appreciation for the power of observation. You have to be observant, and you start paying attention to more details, because people are not observant, and it's so important to be observant. You learn so many things without asking questions, and then you look 5 times smarter, because you are just observant and you remember. And when you remember things and when you see things, it just helps so much. It makes your life so much easier and makes an impression. Next is, again, one of probably the most influential people that I've come across, influential in my life. It's John Danaher. Not as well known. John Danaher is the greatest jiu-jitsu coach of all time, and I would say he's one of the greatest coaches across all sports of all time. John Danaher. I would pay to listen to John Danaher talk every day about anything. The guy is so smart. He's so intelligent, and the way he speaks is so calm, cold, and calculated. He's always gonna find the right word. He's always gonna ask the right question. His ability to ask good questions to ask good questions when there is seemingly, the topic is vague. He manages to find a way to ask the right questions so as to make it simpler, to simplify it. He's just, you can tell a philosopher, you can tell a trained philosopher when you see one. You can just tell. These guys are just different. He's one of them. You can it's just visible. You listen to this guy, hey, this guy is different. This guy is different. This is different. That's different class. Some people, they don't have the brain to understand him. It goes over their head like this. They just call him weird. But I look at him immediately. It stands out so much. This is a trained philosopher. You don't mess around with these guys. That's why philosophy. He studied. He's from New Zealand. He went to America to study philosophy, to become a professor. Okay, at the age of 28, he decides to. One of his friends introduces him to jiu-jitsu. He starts training jiu-jitsu at 28, and he becomes the greatest ever coach in the history of jiu-jitsu. His life is he's like a movie character in real life. He's in the gym every single day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Yeah. When he gets home, he watches fights. He studies, basically. During the day, he's in the gym 12 hours. His dedication is mind boggling. John Danaher, he's definitely one of the. every couple of months I would listen to all his podcasts. Every couple of months. He's got like, let's say, 5 podcasts. I've listened to every single one of them maybe at least 5 times. And every 5 months I just listen to them again. Just to keep programming myself, to keep instilling his voice into my head. I want to be hearing his voice in my head often, you know. I want to make it I want to make it a constant in my head. I want to be hearing this because it's the voice of reason. Calm, cold, calculated. He knows what he's talking about. He knows he's always going to find the right question to ask. He's always going to break down the topic properly. And he's never going to give you an arrogant answer. Not never, maybe, but rarely. Next is Pep Guardiola, self-explanatory, the greatest football coach of all time. He's the biggest innovator. There is no debate. He's the greatest coach of all time, and he's always looking to add something, to improve something. It's just, and his teams always play the best football, and he's always dominating. You have to be a special person to be able to do that. That's not. People can come up with all sorts of dumb excuses, but Pep is. He doesn't. There's no competition, no debate. He's the greatest. He does things, and then everyone else basically copies and tries to keep up. You look at football nowadays. Most of what you see is this is the result of Pep's football, is what we watch nowadays. The compact defenses. Why? Because if you're not compact, you go 15 years ago, before Guardiola's Barca, look at the defenses all over the place, wide open. Just rely on, like, skill, individual brilliance. Well, with Pep's positional football, he was destroying these teams. So they're like, listen, let's try and press. They realize they cannot press. Okay, well, if we don't want to get beat, then we need to go and defend in front of our goal. Basically, park the bus. And now when you watch football, it's no longer park the bus, because basically 90% of teams defend like that. Very compact in front of the goal, narrow, and very short. Yeah, that's how everyone defends. It just looks normal now. This used to be considered park the bus. That's Pep. That's all Pep. And that's just one thing. I just don't want to go into more detail because we're 74 minutes in. Next is Firas Zahabi. Firas Zahabi is actually a student of John Danaher, at least in Jiu-Jitsu. Okay, Firas Zahabi is the coach of George St. Pierre. So is John Danaher. I forgot to mention this. This is very interesting. You get 3 people that I really look up to, are friends, and coach and student. Imagine. This is almost like Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle, almost. So yeah, Firas is my podcast, in essence. Is basically a cheap copy of Firas Zahabi's podcast. I myself am basically, you could say, a modified, but a cheap copy of Firas Zahabi. A cheap football copy of Firas Zahabi. This is shocking statement, but there is a lot of truth in it, and I'm not ashamed to admit it. because I'm an honest person, and also because I don't see anything wrong with it. I see what this guy does. I really like it. I want to do something similar. He's doing something good. He's an MMA coach, but he's got a background in philosophy as well. So he's a coach, but he has that intelligence and just well-rounded knowledge and reasoning power. So the intelligence, not just when people hear sports, most of the time they think, oh yeah, as if you're stupid, They don't give you the respect. I like sports, but I like intelligence as well. I want the best of both worlds. Is it too much to ask for? Probably yes, but you know, it's a good thing to strive for excellence. Last but not least is Chris Langen. Not many people, probably no one has ever heard of him, but this is the highest ever recorded IQ. Okay, this is Chris Langen. Go and look him up. There are a couple of interesting videos of him. The guy is a ultra genius, and you can tell. And I haven't seen anyone come close to him. And it's just, to me, it's the most interesting thing in the world to observe genius. I'm just fascinated by it. I can't stop it. I can't stop myself. So yeah, I think this concludes my list of people that I look up to and that I've looked up to at certain point in my life. So yeah, we're gonna finish here. I think if you know any of these guys, when you look at them, you can probably see a lot of similarities here and there between them and me to a certain extent, including the way I speak or the things I say, the things I do. And there's nothing wrong with it. You have to find the people that you look up to. But then you need to keep looking. Don't just get stuck to one person. What I do, I kind of bounce around, I like this guy. You know, they've got my attention for like a month. And then I'm like, okay, on to the next. And the interesting thing is this pushes me and gives me motivation when there's seemingly nothing to be motivated about. Okay, in a very monotonous everyday life, having different role models to push you, to help you put one foot in front of the other every day is very helpful. That's why I've never struggled with motivation, because I've always found someone new that I look up to or that I want to be like, and he'll just give me that boost of energy, maybe even if it's just for a month, you know. So that's one of my secrets of never ever getting tired. It's because I always have someone that I'm trying to copy or to look up to, or to more or less live through them for a certain period of time while I'm getting on with my monotonous everyday grind, hard work, no results, hard work, no results. This helps. It does help. But yeah, this is it from me. It's 10 to 12 on a Saturday evening. I'm done. I kind of want to give myself a message, but am I ever going to watch this back and see this again? Maybe a message for my future self. what's my message? It's just we have to keep going. Whatever happens or whatever is happening, just keep going. Because you can look back at the end and be proud of the discipline that you showcased. Discipline that wasn't there for a day or two. It was evident for years. Years. Discipline is what is gonna get you over the line. And that's what we're doing. We're staying disciplined and consistent, regardless of anything else. Nothing else matters. We bulldoze through things. Yeah. This is what we're going to finish with. That's a good finish now. Okay. Now we can conclude this episode. Okay. Thanks for watching, listening, and whatever else. And I'll be back next week. How to finish this?